When you seek power, one of the most dangerous things you can do is lose control of the dynamic between you and others. People are constantly playing subtle games of dominance, influence, and positioning. Whether it's in a boardroom, a relationship, or a casual conversation, someone is always trying to establish control, even if unconsciously. Law 44 from the 48 Laws of Power reminds you of a timeless principle: disarm and infuriate with the mirror effect. It is a strategy so quietly lethal, so deceptively disarming, that it can neutralize even the most aggressive adversary without you raising your voice or lifting a weapon. People are emotional creatures. They project their insecurities, their ambitions, their weaknesses onto others. When you mirror someone, their gestures, their tone, their behavior, you hold up a reflection of them they weren't prepared to see. And that reflection has power. It unsettles, it frustrates, it exposes. When they lash out at you, they realize they are really lashing out at themselves. It denies them the control of defining the conversation, of setting the tone. In mirroring them, you rob them of the comfort of contrast. Suddenly, they can't pin you down. You are no longer an opponent or an ally. You are a reflection, a presence that forces them to face their own game. The beauty of the mirror effect lies in its invisibility. You don't have to openly resist your opponent or loudly disagree. In fact, you do the opposite. You reflect their attitude, their energy, their language, subtly and precisely. If someone is aggressive, you meet them with equal aggression, mimicking their intensity. If they become humble and apologetic, you mirror that humility. In doing so, you control the tempo of the interaction. The opponent grows uncomfortable because they can't manipulate you. Every move they make comes back at them, and eventually, they exhaust themselves in the fight against their own reflection. It is a psychological tactic that forces people to confront their own behavior. Some will grow angry, frustrated, and confused because most people are uncomfortable facing themselves so directly. Others will be disarmed, feeling a strange connection with you because of the unspoken similarities you echo back. Either way, you dictate the rhythm, the tone, and the energy of the encounter without appearing forceful. This is where the true power lives, in subtlety, in control without obvious control. Consider a leader who is publicly criticized for being cold and detached. Instead of defending themselves, they begin mirroring the critic's warmth and emotional openness in public interactions. Over time, the critic either grows quiet or appears hypocritical, as their main weapon loses relevance. Or imagine a rival who uses sarcasm and mockery to belittle you. Rather than getting defensive, you mirror their sarcasm with equal sharpness, exposing the childishness of their behavior. The crowd watching will see the ridiculousness of the situation, and the aggressor, robbed of their unique stance, will either escalate foolishly or retreat. The mirror effect isn't just about defense, it can be a preemptive strike. When you mirror someone's expectations or desires, you can lead them exactly where you want them to go. By reflecting their ambitions, their fears, or their dreams, you position yourself as the one who gets it, gaining trust and access. Once inside, you subtly shift the reflection, leading them into decisions that favor your strategy without open resistance. But like every powerful tactic, it requires finesse. Too obvious a mirror, and people will notice. It must be natural, unforced, a quiet echo rather than a mocking mimicry. The goal is to create a seamless reflection, one that unsettles not through ridicule but through the eerie sense of being faced with one's own image, stripped of the ability to manipulate through contrast. There's a reason this tactic has been used by legendary politicians, negotiators, and social operators throughout history. It exploits one of the oldest truths of human nature: people struggle to battle themselves. They expect resistance, not reflection. They prepare to push against opposition, not against a version of themselves. When they find no ground to gain, no distinct shape to attack, they lose balance. In that imbalance, you gain control. It's also an invaluable tool in tense negotiations or confrontational situations. When emotions run high, and someone tries to dominate through aggression or manipulation, mirroring them disarms the tension. It signals you are not an easy target, nor an eager opponent. You let them burn out their energy fighting their own reflection while you remain composed, quietly in command of the dynamic. The mirror effect works equally well in personal relationships. When dealing with difficult people, mirroring their behavior can make them self-aware of their flaws. A rude, condescending person is rarely prepared for their own rudeness reflected back at them. Often, they adjust subconsciously, correcting their tone or behavior because they suddenly feel the discomfort they inflict on others. It turns manipulation inward, making the other person their own undoing. It's important to remember that this tactic should not be overused or deployed frivolously. Power is in precision. Save the mirror effect for moments where maintaining composure, deflecting hostility, or silently dominating the situation is critical. Used strategically, it's one of the sharpest tools in the power player's arsenal. The brilliance of this law is how it turns human psychology against itself. People are naturally drawn to contrast. It allows them to feel superior, to dictate dynamics. When you deny them contrast and instead give them a reflection, you leave them nowhere to move. It is in this suffocating sameness that frustration grows and control shifts quietly to your hands. So whether you're up against a rival, negotiating with a tough client, dealing with a toxic personality, or simply navigating social power games, remember this: mirroring their actions, their tone, and their emotional posture turns their own power against them. It forces them to battle themselves. And in every fight against one's own reflection, the person staring back always holds the advantage. The one who can master this technique can neutralize enemies, win negotiations, and control volatile situations without open confrontation. It's the art of winning without fighting, disarming without threatening, dominating without declaring war. And in the long game of power, the quietest victories are often the most complete.